Hi everyone, welcome to another one of my videos. This is for Con 6th grade, translate one-step equations and solve them. You're going to be using what you've learned about solving equations in this one and writing expressions. You're going to combine those two things that you've learned. You're going to be writing equations though and solving them. We've written expressions before and we've dealt with solving equations. So expressions we know don't have an equals in them. And so we're just going to write equations which have an equals in them. And so then we're going to solve these. So let's take a look at this first one. So it says, write an equation to represent the following statement. So 37 is 18 less than k. So on all these are going to kind of look the same. They're going to have the box here that you're going to be typing the equation in, and then the box down below that you're going to be typing the solution in. Be careful in the solution to only put a number in there. Don't put any units or don't put anything else in there, just the number. And up here is where you're going to put your equation. Okay, so let's take a look at this. 37 is. When we see something like that, that is means equal. So 37 equals 18 less than k. And when we did our expressions, these were the type that most people miss, these ones that were written out like this, 18 less than k. Less means we're going to subtract, but since it's 18 less than k, we're going to start with k and take 18 from it. So our expression is going to be 37 equals k, because we want 18 less than k, so we have to start with k, minus 18. And I'm going to give you a word of caution here when you're going through these and typing these in. If it's a lowercase k, make sure you put in a lowercase k in here. Sometimes the X and Z's on these look a lot of the same on con, so make sure you take your time to make sure which one it is. So be careful with those. But make sure it's lowercase all the time. So there's our equation. Then we need to use what we know about solving that to figure it out. We talked about this. We end up with subtraction. So we know that in order to solve that for k, we know that k will be equal to that opposite operation. Since it was subtracting 18, we need to add 18. 37 plus 18. And if we work that out, we end up with 37 plus 18. We get 55. So k is equal to 55. Now, so that's what we would put in here. We would just put 55 in here, and then we would submit that. Now, one thing you could do, sometimes on con, it will accept this equation. The interesting thing is, on this, it would also accept this for an equation you could put in there, because these are what we call equivalent equations. So this one and this one are both possible answers you could put in the equation. So a lot of times on these equations, there's more than one possible answers, but the answer, there'll only be one answer you could put in there. Okay? But let's try to get the one that you get from reading the expression. Worry about trying to get that one in there. Okay, let's go on to another example here. Okay, for this one, j is 9 times as large as 5. So j is, so that means we're going to have j equals, so on that one, so we're going to have j equals, so j again, lowercase, j equals 9 times as large as 5, and that just simply means 9 times 5 on that one. Okay, so we just end up with j is, and it's just j is, again, is equals 9 times 5, and then we could just do that. 9 times 5 is 45, and we would end up with that for our answer down here of 45. Okay, now that one was pretty straightforward. Sometimes you'll have to do a little bit more work to solve those, but if you end up with the numbers over there, you can just multiply them together and work it out that way. Let's look at another example here. Okay, on this one, the product of 7 and k is 105. So this one, the product, we've talked about that. That's one of the words we need to know. Product means multiplication. So the product of 7 and k is 105. So that just means 7k. So 7k is, so that means equals 105. Now, that one, I don't know what I times 7 by to get 105, but we know if it's multiplication, we use division to solve it. So I'm just going to come over here and do long division to figure that out. So I take 105 and divide it by 7. So I end up, that'll go in there one time. So end up with 7. Subtract that down. 3, bring down my 5. And we end up with 35. So that's going to go in there 15 times. So my answer is 15. And we can always check that by taking 7 times 15 and making sure that goes into 105. So go ahead and make sure you check these. Again, in the bottom, we only put in our solution. Okay? And the top needs to have an equation in it, which means it needs to have an equals in it. All right? Let's look at just one more really quick. And if you need to pause this video and take your time on these, make sure you know and understand what's going on with these. Take your time to work these out. Okay, let's look at this last one here. The quotient of n and 4 is 17. So the quotient we know is division. Now remember on con, the quotient is always going to be put in as a fraction. So the quotient of n and 4, so that's going to be n over 4. And that is, so that's equal to 17. And remember we talked about, so if it's a division problem, we're going to multiply those two, solve it. So we're going to take 17 times 4 over here. So 4 times 7 is 28. Carry our 2 up here. That would end up with 68. Okay? So, and then you'd want to check that and make sure, I'm kind of hurrying through these so the video isn't too long. Make sure you take your time on these and check them. You're going to have more time when you're working through these. Take your time, make sure you check these as you're going through. Read these carefully as you go through these and make sure you take your time to work them out and to, most importantly, check them to make sure you don't make a mistake. So make sure you have an equation in the top and just the number that's the answer in the bottom. Good luck with these, and if you have any questions, let me or your teacher know. Have a good day. Bye.